The agency's office smelled faintly of coffee and carpet cleaner, but to Emma Carter, it smelled of desperation. She smoothed her skirt for the third time and gripped the frayed strap of her handbag. She hadn't wanted to be here. Not again. But with her daughter Lily's school tuition looming and rent already overdue, she couldn't afford pride. She needed this job. Emma Carter. The receptionist called, her voice clipped but polite. Mr. Blackwood will see you now. Emma blinked. Mr. Blackwood. She thought she'd be meeting with a household manager. Mr. Blackwood insists on approving everyone who works with his son. A ripple of nerves shot through her. Damian Blackwood, billionaire investor, reclusive tech mogul, known for ruthless decisions in boardrooms and stone-faced appearances at galas. What did a man like him know about raising children? The receptionist led her down a corridor lined with glass walls until they stepped into an office that looked more like the command center of an empire. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city. At the desk sat Damian himself, tall, broad-shouldered, with steel-gray eyes that studied her like she was a problem he intended to solve. You're here for the nanny position, he said, his voice low, resonant. Yes, Mr. Blackwood, Emma said carefully. I've worked with children for over 8 years, and experience matters, he cut in, but patience matters more. My son hasn't spoken in nearly 2 years. Emma's heart jolted. She hadn't expected that. Damian's gaze never wavered. He's had every specialist money can buy. Speech therapists, child psychologists. Nothing has worked. I won't waste time on someone who'll give up. Emma drew in a breath. She'd been underestimated before, by employers, by Lily's father, by the world. But she hadn't come this far to quit. I don't give up on children, she said softly but firmly. For a fraction of a second, something flickered in Damian's expression, something vulnerable, almost human. Then it was gone. He leaned back. You start tomorrow. The Blackwood estate felt less like a home and more like a fortress. Gated drive, immaculate gardens, fountains whispering under the morning sun. Inside, marble floors gleamed beneath chandeliers. Emma followed the housekeeper upstairs. Nose in the playroom, her pulse quickened as she stepped inside. Noah sat near a window, small for his 5 years, dark-haired like his father but with solemn eyes that seemed far older than they should be. A half-built tower of blocks sat before him. He didn't look up when she entered. Hello, Noah, Emma said gently, kneeling to his level. I'm Emma, may I sit with you? He didn't answer, didn't even glance at her. His small hand placed another block on the tower. Emma didn't push. Instead, she opened a sketchpad from her bag. She drew slowly. A flower, a sun, a little stick figure holding a child's hand. After a few minutes, Noah's gaze darted toward the page. He reached out silently, took a crayon, and added his own mark, a bright yellow sun. Emma's heart lifted. Not a word, but it was something. Days turned into weeks. Noah never spoke, but he began to orbit her presence. He'd settle beside her during storytime, giggle soundlessly when she made puppets act out silly voices, and lean against her shoulder when she sketched. Each tiny response felt like a victory. Sometimes, Emma caught Damian watching. He'd stand in the doorway in his tailored suits, expression carved from stone, yet his eyes softened when they rested on Noah. He said little, but Emma sensed how deeply he cared, even if he didn't know how to show it. One evening, as Emma gathered her things, Damian stopped her in the hall. You're different from the others, he said. Emma frowned slightly. Different how? You don't treat him like he's broken. His jaw tightened as though the word itself hurt. Emma met his gaze. Because he isn't broken. He's just waiting for the right moment to trust again. Something flickered between them, an understanding, a tether neither expected. Emma's heart skipped, but she quickly looked away. This was her employer. Nothing more. The breakthrough came on a stormy night. Rain hammered against the Blackwood mansion. Thunder cracked like a whip, rattling the windows. Emma rushed upstairs when she heard Noah's whimper. He sat trembling in his bed, fists clutching the blanket, eyes wide with fear. Emma sat beside him, gathering him close. Shh, sweetheart, you're safe. I'm right here. She rocked him gently, murmuring soothing words, the way she had with Lily after nightmares. Noah clung to her, burying his face against her shoulder. And then, so softly she almost missed it, he whispered, hoarse but clear. Mama. Emma froze. Her breath caught in her throat. After 2 years of silence, his first word wasn't to his father. It was to her. Behind her, a sharp intake of breath. She turned. Damian stood in the doorway, pale, eyes wide with shock. For once, the impenetrable billionaire looked undone. The next morning, the house was quieter than usual. Emma worried Damian might be angry, that Noah had spoken to her first. She found him in his study, staring at the rain-washed city beyond the glass. I didn't mean for him to, she faltered. Damian turned. His eyes were tired but softer. Don't apologize. You gave him something no one else could. Hope. Emma's throat tightened. He just needed someone to make him feel safe. Damian stepped closer, his voice low. And you've given him that. More than I ever could. The air between them thickened. Emma's heart pounded. Too fast, too loud. But she forced herself to draw a line. I'm his nanny, Mr. Blackwood. That's all. His gaze lingered on hers, unreadable. Then he simply nodded. For now. Weeks passed. Noah began saying more words. Quiet at first. Colors, animals, numbers whispered as though afraid they might vanish. Each time, Emma celebrated with warmth and patience. And each time, Damian watched with awe. One Sunday afternoon, Damian invited Emma and her daughter Lily to join them for lunch in the garden. At first Emma hesitated, but Lily's laughter soon filled the space, twining with nose-shy giggles as the children played tag among the hedges. Damian leaned closer to Emma. I haven't seen him laugh like this since, before his mother. Emma's chest ached. She didn't ask about the late Mrs. Blackwood, but she saw the grief shadow his face. Children heal, she said softly. Sometimes faster than we do. His eyes met hers, steady and searching. Maybe adults need someone patient too. The words hung in the air, charged and unspoken. Emma looked away, pretending to fuss with Lily's plate, though her cheeks warmed. It was Noah who bridged the final distance. One evening, after Emma read him a bedtime story, he tugged at her sleeve. His voice, fragile but steady, whispered, Stay, family stays. Emma's breath caught. Before she could answer, Damian appeared in the doorway, having overheard. He crossed the room slowly, his usual control faltering. He looked at his son, then at her. His voice dropped to a whisper, rough with emotion. Your family. Emma's eyes stung. For years, she had been just a single mother clawing her way through life, convinced she and Lily would always be on the outside looking in. Yet here, in this house of glass and steel, a boy's fragile voice and a billionaire's quiet confession wrapped around her like belonging. She reached out, taking Noah's hand in one of hers, Damian's in the other. For the first time in a long time, she allowed herself to believe. Maybe this wasn't just a job. Maybe it was the start of a home. The agency's office smelled faintly of coffee and carpet cleaner, but to Emma Carter, it smelled of desperation. She smoothed her skirt for the third time and gripped the worn strap of her handbag. She hadn't wanted to be here again. But with bills piling up and her daughter Lily's school fees due, she couldn't afford pride. She needed this job. Emma Carter. The receptionist called. Mr. Blackwood will see you now. Emma blinked. Mr. Blackwood, not the house manager. The woman gave a thin smile. Mr. Blackwood personally approves everyone who works with his son. A ripple of nerves darted through Emma. Damian Blackwood, billionaire investor, reclusive tech mogul, famous for ruthless decisions, not tenderness. What did a man like him know about raising children? The receptionist led her to a glass-walled office overlooking the city. At the desk sat Damian, tall, broad-shouldered, impeccably tailored. His steel-gray eyes studied her as though he could see through her. You're here for the nanny position, he said, voice low and even. Yes, Mr. Blackwood, Emma managed. I've worked with children for years, and experience matters, he cut in, but patience matters more. My son hasn't spoken in almost 2 years. Emma's breath caught. Damian leaned forward. He's had specialists, therapists, experts flown in from abroad. Nothing worked. I won't waste time on someone who'll quit when it gets difficult. Emma held his gaze. I don't quit on children. Ever. For just a second, something softened in his eyes. Then the mask slid back into place. You start tomorrow. The Blackwood estate was breathtaking. Fountains, glass walls, endless gardens. Emma felt small as she entered, clutching her bag. The housekeeper led her upstairs. Nose in the playroom. Emma found him by the window, a fragile-looking boy with dark hair and solemn eyes. Blocks lay scattered before him. He didn't look up. Hello, Noah, Emma said gently, kneeling to his level. I'm Emma. May I sit with you? No answer. His little hand placed another block on the tower. Emma didn't push. She sat cross-legged on the rug and opened a sketchpad. Slowly she drew a flower, a house, a smiling stick figure. Minutes passed. Noah glanced at the page, then reached for a crayon. Without a word, he drew a bright yellow sun in the corner. Emma's chest tightened. Not speech, but it was a start. The first week was full of silences, but silences with possibility. Noah stayed close when she read, giggled silently at her puppets, leaned against her shoulder during drawing. Each reaction felt like a gift. Sometimes Emma caught Damian watching. He'd stand in the doorway in his charcoal suits, eyes unreadable. But once, she thought she saw awe flicker across his face as Noah rested against her. One evening, Damian stopped her as she was leaving. "You're different from the others," he said. Emma frowned. "Different how? You don't treat him like he's broken." Her throat tightened. "Because he isn't. He's just waiting for the right time to trust again." Their eyes met, hers fierce with conviction, his shadowed with something she couldn't name. For the first time, Emma wondered if beneath the billionaire's armor was a father who was just as lost as his son. It was raining the night everything changed. Thunder shook the windows. Emma rushed upstairs at Noah's whimper. He sat trembling in bed, clutching his blanket. She gathered him into her arms. "Shush, sweetheart, you're safe. I'm here." Noah clung to her, burying his face against her shoulder. Then, hoarse but clear, he whispered, "Mama." Emma froze. Her heart stuttered, half breaking, half soaring. 2 years of silence, shattered by one word. Behind her, a sharp breath. She turned. Damian stood in the doorway, pale, undone. For once, the impenetrable billionaire looked human. Part 2. The morning after Noah spoke, Emma's nerves knotted. Would Damian be angry, hurt? Would he fire her for being the one Noah had chosen? She found him in his study, staring out at the skyline. "I didn't mean for him to," she began. Damian turned. His eyes were tired, but softer than she'd ever seen. "Don't apologize. You gave him something no one else could. Hope." Emma swallowed hard. He just needed to feel safe. His gaze held hers. "And you've given him that. More than I ever could." Her heart skipped. She looked away quickly. He was her employer, nothing more. Yet her chest ached with the weight of his words. Over the next weeks, Noah's voice grew steadier. Whispered colors, shy answers to questions, hesitant laughter that filled the halls. Emma celebrated each moment with warmth. One Sunday, Damian invited her and Lily to join them for lunch in the garden. At first Emma hesitated, but soon Lily and Noah were chasing butterflies together, their giggles carrying across the hedges. Damian watched, almost in awe. "I haven't seen him laugh like that since, before." His voice faltered. Emma didn't press, but she understood. The shadow of a lost wife lingered here. "Children heal," she said softly. "Sometimes faster than we do." Damian turned to her, eyes steady. "Maybe adults need someone patient too." The words lingered between them, warm and dangerous. Emma's heart raced, but she forced herself to look away. It was Noah who closed the distance. One evening, after Emma finished reading, he tugged her sleeve. His small voice whispered, "Stay. Family stays." Emma's chest constricted. She brushed his hair back gently. "I'll always be here when you need me." From the doorway, Damian's voice, rough but tender, echoed, "Your family." Emma's breath caught. She turned. Damian's gaze burned with an honesty she'd never seen before. He wasn't the billionaire now, or the employer. He was just a man, a father, and someone who wanted more than loneliness. Her eyes stung. For years, she and Lily had been outsiders, surviving but never belonging. But here, in this house of glass and steel, a boy's fragile voice and his father's whispered vow wrapped around her like home. She reached out, taking Noah's hand in one of hers, Damian's in the other. For the first time in years, Emma believed that love, family, and healing could grow in the most unexpected places. And Damian, the man who had once been untouchable, whispered it again, steady and sure.